Hi, everyone. Welcome to Forbes Talks. I'm Diane Brady, and I'm here with my colleague, Javier Paz, who is Director of Data and Analytics for Forbes. And Javier, we are talking about Binance. I don't know if it's the next to fall, but it certainly lost a lot of money. Tell us more about what's going on.
Well, they have lost a lot of money. In fact, to put it in perspective, it's equal in size that 12 billion that they lost in the last 2 months is equal in size to a couple other of the major players that they follow in size. But so there certainly is a lot of money, but because it is Binance considered the largest, certainly by volume, but not so much. I mean, there's bigger company in terms of number of clients, and that's Coinbase. But Binance is the one that captures a lot of the imagination of a lot of crypto traders. So they have a huge following, very loyal too, but they are not happy today because there's news that their beloved Binance has, lost that much money, and they think it's typical FUD, but this is in reality just a silver lining of the FTX implosion, which has made crypto exchanges more likely to reveal something we didn't know before, which was the crypto address wallets that where they keep client funds and their own operational funds. So now we know where things are stashed. We can label them more, and by we, I mean many data companies that are out there, DeFi Llama, Nansen, and many others that basically do great research. And I've been tapping some of that great research to put together some of the what the situation has been like for several exchanges, Binance being one of them, and one of the most interesting stories.
So let me ask a bit. Let's unpack this a little bit. First of all, in the grand scheme of things, is 12 billion a feasible loss? I mean, Binance itself, is it at risk in the same way that FTX? No longer at risk, no longer exists for very different reasons. Is this, how devastating a blow is this to Binance?
Well, I think it's pretty huge. I think if you lose a quarter of your assets in such a short period, you feel it. And they are trying to show their best poker face, and just, say to ignore, ZZ regularly just tells his
that's the founder,
to ignore the FUD and keep on building, but that the reality is, I mean, they've lost money from Jump Crypto, which is one of the main reportedly. We don't know the exact amounts, but we know that around the first part of December, they lost in the order of more than 3 billion, which is what at the time was reported. They had lost, not 4% of assets as it was initially believed, but more like 9%. So that's where it gets interesting. As we did a little bit of the accounting of how much Binance had lost over the last 2 months. It is alarming. It is something that it is yellow flags, red flags kind of thing. But because they are who they are and they have the clout that they do, they give the impression that it is business as usual.
So do you take this to be a mark of, like, obviously there has been a certain flight from the space. We've certainly seen the valuations drop. Is this just collateral damage, or is Binance suffering more than its peers?
It is Binance more than its peers on a percentage basis and actual basis. So, and that's one of the questions that our study did look at. Did they, over the last month, for example, did they lose a greater percentage? And there's about 25 firms that now do show their reserves. And there was only one of them, a relatively small and unknown firm, that had a greater percentage loss. But Binance's 15% over the last month was the biggest. The other ones were like, between 0 and 6-7%.
You talked about the silver lining and how the fallout from FTX has brought a certain level of transparency to the sector. It sounds like there's still an unacceptable level of opaqueness when it comes to Binance. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is correct. Binance does not have an auditor. They don't have a CFO, a chief financial officer, not for the last year and a half. And they don't have a norm for, and they operate in a non-physical world. So a lot of information that could be sensitive in nature flies around. So the standards needed, for accounting firms to have, a certification that things are done, that the internal checks of internal controls of the company are in, where they should be, don't exist with Binance.
So Sam Bankman-Fried was known as somebody who was investing a lot. He was certainly lobbying in Washington. He gave a lot of political donations. What has been the method by which CZ has built popularity? Very different approach.
Well, he has kept a low profile. He has not been buying billion-dollar boats or living in villas. To our knowledge, and if he has, he's not shown or bragged about it. So he's come across more as a down-to-earth kind of guy, and that makes him, he's not super polished, but again, that goes into the personality that is, again, down-to-earth, next door kind of guy. No doubt he's smart. He's very clever, but again, so was SBF. Before him, they both are. I mean, one of the things that I'll tell you about ZZ is that he understood early on the importance of being perceived as being the guy with the biggest volume. Something that they touted shortly after being launched, really, that they were one with the biggest volume, but. That frankly doesn't happen unless you're doing something funny. You cannot just go from 0 to 100 that quickly, as they did. But then they acquired CoinMarketCap, the largest crypto media firm, and that reaffirmed the notion that they were the biggest, and then it became the truth that many accepted. But it doesn't necessarily, it's not the conclusive truth, but it's the narrative that he understood and has, spread abroad quite effectively.
So if we'd been talking, I don't know, a year ago, there would have been, I believe, around 600 crypto exchanges. How many are there today?
I would estimate that there's about 200.
And are there any winners in that mix? Or, I mean, we're talking about companies that have lost, stunning amounts of money. Is anybody actually proving to be the gold standard, or is that money all fleeing the sector?
There are companies that are showing a better track record and more concern. I think this is a sort of pendulum that is swinging back to companies that do a better job keeping the money safe. That have more outside, they have good auditors, they have credible regulators looking over their shoulders and penalizing them $100 million if they do something that is amiss, as just happened to Coinbase. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of so we are hearing that Bitstamp and others, Kraken and other companies that have been around for a long time and highly regulated, are seeing some more new, demands for new accounts, which is great news, because the industry, in order to be efficient and effective, it needs more competitive players, and the cloud that Binance had generated since they've been around has been very oppressive, and leading to a concentration of trading and assets around one company. So having more comparative firms around, a beat in it's a company in Korea, they are very large, and other companies in Japan, which again they're like independent little geographies, and they have their top players, and same thing in Indonesia and other places, Brazil. So so there are companies out there, exchanges, but none as big as Binance, reportedly. So changes is afoot, and that's a good thing.
Let me ask one other question, which is the look ahead, because the trajectory that we've seen for FTX is in a U.S. context, extradited from Bahamas, I guess, to here. What would you be looking for going forward with Binance? Because it's a very, it's domiciled differently, different players. What's likely to happen from here, or what are you looking for, given the environment that we're in?
Well, a couple of things could happen. We'll continue to track the changes in deposits, in assets that they have, and we'll see whether they weather this storm. They may well do so, but that's the one key consideration. Now, if they continue to lose, if they happen to gain speed in the flight of capital, well, that story ends relatively quickly, and we'll all know about it. And if FTX is any indication, we'll hear about the pain and the contagion all over again in a major way. But there will be, a much smaller but credible crypto world afterwards, with different firms. But right now it's about reducing the fluff and the fake, volume, and the fake accounting that is going on behind the excuse of being not understood by accounting firms. So that's a positive change overall, but it's going to feel a little scary at first.
I can imagine. Thanks for explaining it to us, and look forward to continuing the conversation, Javier.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.